Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day life. Let's start with the video.
I have always been loving and caring towards my stepson, who has also been a well-behaved boy. I married his father when he was 5 years old, and I have taken care of him since then and put all my efforts into bringing him up. I am a working woman and earn a good salary, which is enough to provide a standard life a kid would need. I used to buy him gifts, toys, and whatever he asked for, just so he does not think that I was not a better replacement for his mom. I did everything I could. I used to cook after returning from work. I used to wash his clothes, help him with his homework, and everything in between. Now, as he is a grown-up boy and is going to take admission in a college, I promised him to support him through this too. His dad said that we prefer a local college, so we will not have to spend all the money we have ever saved on the college and use it later on in life. This hurt our son so much, and he immediately left the house and went to his friends. I tried to contact him and talk to him, but he was so stubborn and angry and said he would not return as we were being greedy and not spending on our only son's college. I talked to my husband also, and he said that our son will be all right and will be okay later on. The situation did not get better as both the son and the father were not ready to step back or even talk about it. When I talked to my son, he was so upset and nearly cried about how crazy he was for the admission to the particular college, and all of his friends were trying to get an admission there. He was so emotional and heartbroken that it melted my heart, and I decided to stand up for him. I told him that I was ready to give all my savings for his dream of admission to that college, and that he should come back home. My son returned the next day, and I announced at the dinner table that I was going to finance his college no matter what, even if I will be left with anything or not. This upset my husband, and he argued that this is a useless decision, as there is no need to spend everything on an expensive college. I tried to persuade him and said that he was our only son, and everything we have belongs to him, so he can spend it wherever he wants to. My husband was a bit upset, but did not argue further. I could see how happy and excited our son was, as I promised him his college funds. The admission date got closer, and my son told me that I should arrange the admission fee first, so he may go and submit it as soon as possible. I withdrew the admission fee amount from my savings account and put it in the locker of our house. I told him that whenever he leaves to submit, I will hand over the fee to him. One fine morning, I was sweeping the floor and could hear my son talking to his friend on a call. As I drew closer to his room's door, I could hear what was being said. I heard my son saying that, "You will not believe that wicked old lady has just withdrawn the admission fee amount, and I will be in that college in no time now." I was shocked to hear the way my son mentioned me on the call. I could not take these words out of my mind, nor could I share them with someone. A few days passed by, and I got a chance to go through my son's cell phone. I quickly went to the chats and started scrolling here and there. I found his friends' chat groups, where they were of course talking about the admissions. I could not believe my eyes the way my son called me names in the chat and talked shit about me. I put his phone down so quickly as I feared he may find me using it. The next day, his friends came to our house and were chatting in the lounge. I was very curious to find out what was going on, so I deliberately tried to listen to their chats. My son, again, left no chance to call me a wicked stepmom, who was just trying to win hearts by spending money on his stepson. That was it. I took the money from my locker and left for an orphanage to donate all. So, as my son had to leave for the submission of fee and admission in the college, he asked me for the money. I very calmly told him that I thought the money better belonged to the people who needed them and would appreciate my efforts. He was clueless and asked what I meant, so I told him that I donated that amount to an orphanage, as I thought it was better spent that way. He literally could not believe it and said that he needed it right now, as he was just about to leave. I told him that there is no need to leave, and he should instead head to the local college and see if he could get admission. This enraged him, and whatever he used to say behind my back, he said it to my face and called me whatever rubbish he could. He even threatened me that he would not let me live in his dad's house, and the witch is supposed to be kicked out. He left the house after cursing the hell out of me. I was very angry and shocked to my bones, as I could not digest how a person I spent my life for can treat me like that. Was I a maid for him this whole time? Or a gift machine? Or a bank or ATM? Well, whatever he thought I was, he was served right, and now he may do whatever suits him. So my husband came back from the other city and wanted to know all the details. As our son had already left the house, it was easier for me to put forward my points and tell him the raw truth. I told my husband each and everything which had happened, and also how our son reacted when I told him that I donated the money to some orphanage. My husband said that I should not have proposed to help in the start, as our son then developed expectations from me, and now, as his expectations are shattered, this was the only way he would have reacted. I said that I know a person would react that way, but he should consider what our son was doing before that. I did not do anything on purpose and would have never taken such a step. When I told my husband that I was hurt and heartbroken on knowing his true thoughts about me, my husband said that stepkids react even worse than that, and I am being unthankful, as our son has always been a well-behaved kid. I know, being a dad, my husband has a soft corner for his son, and he's going to be more forgiving than me. But at least he could talk to him and reprimand him, as this was the least I deserved after spending my whole life for the well-being of this house and family. My son appeared out of nowhere today and demanded that he wanted to talk to his dad alone. I was asked to give them a minute, so I left the room and went to the lounge. I had this feeling that things were going to get worse, as my son was up to no good. I waited an hour or so when my husband came out of the room with our son following him. He came up to me and said this was the least he expected from me. He said that he sort of handed over his son to me, trusting me with everything related to him, but I could not abort the hatred from my heart for the stepkid. I was shocked, so shocked that I could not speak a word. He went further that I had planned all this drama so I could shatter our son's dream of getting admission to that college. I first stepped forward to help, even got the money out of the account, but then donated it as the due date came closer so I could make a joke out of our son in front of everyone. I gathered courage and asked my husband what he thought about his son's behavior and what he used to call me in front of his friends. My husband justified that by saying that kids do sometimes call names and make fun, as they are not grown-ups and sensible. He said that I chose war with someone who was half my age, and that was ridiculous. I guess all my efforts for years are flushed in the toilet. I see no reason for myself to continue living here, and have decided to leave immediately. The son is the a-hole. He was not a little kid who could not comprehend the efforts his mom was putting into his well-being and enjoying a better life. He chose not to respect and value the efforts. His dad was unwilling to support him and pay for his college, but his stepmom decided to volunteer, which he missed just because of his nonsense. He acted like total crap, and it is evident how evil he was, since forever, when he tried to brainwash his dad and turn him against his mother. The way he reacted when his mom told him about the donation also speaks a lot about his character and inner self. I feel sorry for the mom who spent her life on this piece of crap and still could not turn him into a decent human being. I am sorry as well as happy that she took her decision and left that a-hole family on their own. I guess the real a-hole here is the dad. Oh my gosh, he is such a dumb person who completely got brainwashed by a kid against his wife, who has been with him for years. First of all, he was not willing to pay for the college and said that they should save the money for something more important. If you only have one son, where do you want to take your savings? Secondly, when his wife told her the whole story, he was as calm as he could be. I wish he was in her place and faced the humiliation, and we'd see how he'd react. Lastly, when the son came back all set to play victim, the father instantly became protective of his son and bashed his wife for nothing. If that dad thought he was the one who had to protect his son, who was going to protect his wife? Neighbors?
Here's the next story.
I don't know where to begin. All of this is petty on my part, and I'm fully aware of it. I'm having a hard time thinking I could even remotely be wrong, which is why I'm here. I'm 29F, and my fiancé, Martin, is 30M. His sister is 46, and she has an 11-year-old daughter. I also have 2 sons, aged 11 and 8. The youngest is ODD as well as ADD diagnosed. My fiance's sister's kid has ADHD and is on the autism spectrum, which she has her kid on numerous medications for. It's often a giant pissing contest when I get around his sister, because she feels she is better than me in a parent sense, because she has her child on medications that help her. Turning her into a walking zombie is more like it. And I refuse to have my child medicated until he is older, as his doctor stated his behaviors could get better over time. So, she thinks she's a better mom than me. My kids are not biologically my fiance's. Anyway, his sister is disgusting, both filthy and over-opinionated. I lived with her briefly 4 years ago, and she bled me dry of all the money I had, all while claiming she was doing me a favor. 3 months, and she made me give her almost $9,000 for food, housing, and oil costs. She just became homeless because she's never paid her bills and owed over $12,000 in land tax. Her home was thus foreclosed. Sorry, but this isn't my problem. I have enough to worry about without her and her child living with me, making me feel like my house is no longer mine. I also refused to let her stay with us because when my mother became homeless last year, after the landlord sold the house she was living in with no notice and was given a 14-day notice to quit. With my sister, 18, and my sister's newborn baby, my fiancé said he didn't want them moving in because it would be too much and he didn't want to deal with it. His sister has places to go. My mother and sister don't. My sister and mom were forced to sleep in a car for over a month because he wouldn't even let them stay a night here. So, when he told me his sister and his niece needed a place to go, I said, "That sucks. That's it." He then started saying, I told them if they needed to, they could come here. So I said, well, you better call her back and say no, because they aren't staying in my house. This is technically my house. I bought it before I met him, and he only pays his bills. He says I'm being heartless. I told him I don't care, especially given the fact that he wouldn't let my mom and sister stay here for even one night, which he argued is harder to deal with because of the baby. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. You let your mom sleep in a car for a month while you own a house, and you did that because your fiancé, who is a guest, didn't like it. What the heck? Your baby niece was sleeping in a car. I can't for the life of me understand why you didn't kick him out and took your family in. If my family is in need and my wife of 26 years would say no to helping them, I would serve divorce papers the same day. Luckily, I married a wonderful person who would never behave like your fiancé. Everyone sucks here. You have valid reasons for not wanting to take in his sister, but instead, you've made it a piss match with your boyfriend. If he was this petty about your mother and sister in your house, why are you still with him? Why does he get the final say? The fact that his sister has made parenting a competition, you win, you still have a home, as well as taking all your money, should have been enough of a reason to say no. Think of you and your children. Let your boyfriend go and find a place with his sister. You're the a-hole for allowing a man to tell you that your own mother and sister can't sleep in your house because he didn't want to deal with them. You claim you're being petty, but sadly you're not. You let your own mother and sister sleep in a car for over a month while this person may comfortably live under your roof. For this issue, you're definitely not the a-hole, but you better sit back and think about it if you want to have a pissing contest on who's more petty between yourselves for the rest of your lives, because what you both are doing is going to breed a lot of hate and resentment in years to come. When it does, give us an update.
Here's the next story.
I hit a breaking point last night. My fiancé comes from filth. His whole family is absolutely disgusting in a sense of they can be surrounded by garbage and still think it's normal. His family home, which has been given to his sister, has an entire garage that is currently being used as a dumpster, and every single corner of her home is packed up tighter than a bull's butt, with nothing but clutter, dog hair, and dead mice. You cannot see the floors in any of the 8 rooms his home has. It's not a hoarding issue. It's a I don't want to clean issue. So this is what he is used to. I claim that I have been bullshitted before because when my fiancé and I got into a place, he was exhibiting signs of a clean person. as in always cleaned up after himself, and our home never looked even remotely close to that of his family home. And he did help me clean frequently. Like I said, I have now hit a breaking point, and I'm pretty certain he only did this to make me think he was better than that. In the past year, he has done the dishes twice. He has cleaned once. If he cooks, which is incredibly rare, he leaves everything he uses out on the table, full milk jugs, butter, cheese, etc., and dirties every pan in the house. I've brought it up several times. I'm not a maid. I shouldn't have to put things away that he fails to put away after using. Even if he makes himself cereal, he will still leave both the cereal and the milk on the counter, versus walking 5 steps to put it away. He will take his dirty clothes off and kick it over by our dresser, versus putting them in the camper behind him. He will leave his dirty clothes in the bathroom for weeks, until I finally cave and do the cleaning myself. When I mention how trashed the house is, he says it isn't even that bad. When I get pissed and start rage cleaning, he makes comments asking me to calm down. Other than this, the man is great, treats me great, and loves me unconditionally. So last night, I woke up around 1 a.m. and found milk on the counter again. At this point, it was warm, so I assumed it had been there for hours. I lost it. I was so tired of telling him to pick up after himself that I told him to go move back into the pig pen that he came from. It wasn't just the milk. It was also all of his clothing bags and travel bags that were strewn all over the kitchen, as well as finding the dog had been left out of the kennel and got into the garbage, and the cat had dragged his dirty clothing from the bathroom into her litter box. He says I'm acting irrationally, and he simply forgets because he has ADHD. Undiagnosed, so there's that. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. He's an adult. Imagine the rest of your life like this. Act accordingly. And I call bullshit on his undiagnosed ADHD. First, if he knows he has ADHD, then how can it be undiagnosed? If it really is undiagnosed, how does he know it's ADHD and not something else? Third, why was he able to do all those things at the beginning of your relationship and not now? If he needs help, get him help. But if his problem is that he sees a mess and thinks it's not that bad because he's used to worse, then you two are fundamentally incompatible. You either need to both work to come to a compromise, or you will be his mate forever. Not the a-hole. I am a hoarder, and I have serious issues throwing anything away. What has worked for me is living in an incredibly small space. On the outside, it looks like a shed, literally. But inside, it's 3 levels and 3 rooms. Less space makes it a hell of a hard time to hoard and have messes around. And I came from a clean family. I was the oddball. For me, I honestly feel safe having junk all around me. I don't feel safe at all when things are clean and organized. That said, if he's gonna live with someone, he needs to learn how to respect his roommate and the place you both share. You are not in the wrong.